This is Marketing Jam, a podcast featuring the brightest minds in Canadian marketing.
Welcome everyone to Marketing Jam. We have a special guest here today, James from Lego. James, why don't you tell us your full title and what your day-to-day looks like over at the Lego Group?
So I am a senior global manager of the global social media team at Lego, and what I'm sort of responsible for, my team's responsible for, is really across the board from social media. So on my team I have social media strategists that are responsible for coming up with the product strategy for the next Lego Star Wars set that comes out. We have content producers that are responsible for creating content for those plans, and then performance marketing people who are looking at how we look at organic and paid marketing and the balance there, as well as sort of community managers. So they're the ones that are putting together the editorial plans, publishing the content, writing the copy, and engaging with our fans across the globe.
Very cool. Very cool.
Yep.
So tell us how you got to where you are today.
Yes. So I would say I probably took the very non-traditional approach. I majored in college with a major in computer animation and a minor in painting.
Oh, cool.
Really transferable skills.
Yes, it's great.
Not at all. I would not recommend you do that in this climate. But I was sort of a very sort of lucky individual in the sense that I was in college when Facebook came to be.
Yep.
And so the moment I hit the working force world as an intern, I already knew more about social media before anybody else did. So I remember I had an internship with a PR agency in New York City, and a brief came in from a European company that was looking to launch their digital social network in the US.
Yep.
And basically what came in with the brief is, this is a version of Facebook for kids in a 3D world. And I vividly remember our chairwoman walking down the halls being like, I don't even know what Facebook is. Like, who knows about Facebook? And I very bluntly popped my head up. I was like, I do know about Facebook. And she was like, okay, who are you? And it transpired I went to a new business pitch as an intern, which was absolutely terrifying. And then I sort of realized, I was like, oh, I can do this. Yeah. I know this stuff better than a lot of people who are in the working world and trained and educated in this space. So that's sort of really where it started.
Okay.
Yep.
Very cool. And then how did you end up at Lego? How did it come to be?
Sure. So I was a huge fan of Lego.
Okay.
My fondest memories with my father was, building Lego sets. I remember I got a ping pong table for Christmas. Yeah. I think we played ping pong until like January, like New Year, and then it was a Lego building service. Yeah. I never played ping pong on it ever again. So I've always been a huge fan of the brand. Yeah. I aged out of it like most of us do. I think from the world of social media and in my career as I sort of moved up the ranks and got more focused in the social media world, Lego was always a brand that was hugely inspiring and hugely creative, not just from a social media standpoint, and was a brand that I had always really been interested to work for, honestly. So it was always not an end goal, but a dream situation, right? And long story short, I had my own company where I was doing sort of digital consultancy for all sorts of brands, and I was working with small PR agencies, having my own clients, doing content marketing, building websites, doing all sorts of bits and pieces. And I connected with Lego's PR agency based in the US, who are actually based in California. Started working with Lego through this PR agency, and then long story short, a job opening came up and got it.
You sent in your resume?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, through knowing someone, so that definitely helps.
Yeah.
Got the job.
Very cool.
3 years later, I am still there.
It's amazing.
Yep.
Have you heard of the job application that the girl was looking for an internship at a creative agency, and she sent everyone resumes with a Lego set of herself?
I actually haven't.
Okay.
I need to check that out.
Okay, so a girl, her resume came with a Lego set and said, "Build your perfect intern." and I'm it. And it talked about all the different pieces that she brought to the agency.
Great idea.
Yeah.
Fantastic idea.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the amazing thing about Lego, and sitting in this conference today, I had a bunch of people coming up to me about how they work with Lego from a team building standpoint, and one woman was talking about how they had sort of a building challenge of like a speed building challenge, which is a very sort of normal thing in the Lego community. And she was like, funnily enough, we learned that like our president was like a huge Lego fanatic and he beat everyone. And I was like, oh, okay, well, here's another way you can do that. So I gave her another sort of building challenge. And obviously at Lego, we do all sorts of building challenges. Yeah. And in every conference room, there is a bowl of bricks. Yeah. And regardless of that sound that it makes rustling through the bricks, no one ever says a thing. Yeah. Regardless of the importance of the presentation, everyone is very encouraged to touch and feel the bricks at all times.
Very cool.
Yep.
So these days, iOS, Android?
Yes.
Which one of the two?
iOS all the way.
Okay. Favorite apps, like top ones that you can't live without?
I mean, obviously being social media, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and Instagram.
You're on them daily, multiple times?
Yes, especially with the new OS. I have not looked yet.
Oh.
But like
on the tracker?
Yes, the tracking, I would be terrified, and I will never set up limitations for myself because that'll be a slippery slope. But yes, those are probably my favorite. I do listen to a lot of podcasts, primarily because I have a long commute to work, so that's a great way to pass the time.
Do you have a favorite one or two that you want to recommend?
I definitely do.
Yeah.
I sort of have a different perspective of. I'll be very honest, I'm not a big book reader. I don't read books. Yeah. I read so much and consume so much content on a daily basis. Maybe I should probably try and read something long form, but I'm probably that classic person that doesn't have the attention span for it. So my podcasts sort of are not in the world of social media. I try and sort of take inspiration from other areas. So Freakonomics is a great podcast, and they have just such a wide variety of topics, and I don't listen to every single one, but there's just it really sort of brings a lot of inspiration from different industries and different topics that sort of help build creativity and build inspiration for whatever it might be.
Cool.
Yep.
And anything else that you consume, read, like Ad Age or
so from a magazine standpoint, I've actually just subscribed to 2 magazines.
Okay.
Which was surprising to me because, again, I would just read it online or see it through, my Apple News feed or whatever it might be. So Inc. and Fortune, those help sort of, I guess, keep me sort of in touch with the other industries and other companies and what they're doing. That's, super valuable, especially as you can get sort of very, tunnel visioned in the world that we're in, marketing to kids and parents. So it's good to get inspiration from them. I also, there's other podcasts. I'm a huge sports fan, so there is a podcast called Part of My Take, which has sort of taken the podcast world by storm. So from a marketing standpoint, I find it incredible what they've been able to do and how they've been able to do it and the authenticity that they bring to it. So I sort of look at these sort of content distribution formats in a very different light that I think a lot of people do. Yeah.
And what about conferences and events? So someone who's in social media listening to the show right now, what do you suggest that they go to, or what do you suggest that they read if they want to keep up on?
Sure. So, the very honest answer is a lot of conferences are hit and miss, right? They're also sometimes very expensive to get in the door. So I wouldn't necessarily recommend that, attend a bunch of conferences or, read a bunch of magazines, but I would really look at something like LinkedIn or even YouTube in some cases, where other platforms that are giving, that sort of soapbox opportunity for, business leaders or, content producers in any way to do amazing things, right? So I'm always inspired by the YouTube, what I call the YouTube black hole, right? So you go into YouTube and then, 2 hours later, you're watching videos about, there's a YouTube creator called Healthy Junk Food that I watch. And again, what their entire purpose that they do basically is build large formats of junk food. They literally created like a large M&M. It's a 10-minute video, but I'm looking at what they're doing from the context of a marketer and a social media person, and trying to understand like how are they approaching this? How are they thinking of coming up with this content? Why are they thinking about this content? Why am I, as a consumer, watching the whole video and seeking out the next one? So I sort of look at it from that very sort of cerebral, alternative perspective.
Okay.
Yep.
Wow. And as far as like when you think of social media, do you include sites like Reddit and Pinterest, or is Lego in those worlds?
So we definitely are. You know, our priority channels as a brand is definitely Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Those are our primary channels. And you know, yes, there's a lot of opportunities potentially on Pinterest, and there's a lot of opportunity on channels like Reddit as well. And we'll continue to look at those sort of channels as potential platforms. But our real goal is to become sort of the best-in-class brand on those respective channels. Yeah, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube.
Would they put blogging and e-newsletter under your department, or do they consider that something else?
So that is something else. We're not sort of big into the written word, so to speak. It's not something that we really spend a lot of time on. And you know, our sort of newsletter world is sort of very much tied to the CRM sort of shop.lego.com newsletter, where you know, you're getting news about products and that sort of stuff. But I think there is a huge opportunity, and we talk about this often. You know, Lego has a department called Lego Foundation that really looks at the educational benefits of Lego and research around the benefits of Lego. And you know, I think there's a huge opportunity for us as a brand to really, you know, hold our heads up a little bit more high. And you know, we're usually a pretty humble brand and don't tout ourselves too loudly, but I think, you know, there's a lot of parents that have a lot of interest in how Lego can help in education of their kids, and Pinterest is a great resource for that sort of content that, you know, really inspires us to sort of look at that as an opportunity.
That's cool.
Yep.
And as far as and what you're seeing today, like marketing world, where we're here today, what were the gems that you brought today? What was your talk? What were you hoping to?
Sure. Yeah. So, you know, I think one of the, knowing that, looking at myself as an attendee to a conference and understanding, I've been at those conferences where these huge brands are talking about they do this and they do that, and it becomes pretty unrelatable pretty quickly, because you know, not everyone is a Lego, and I very openly talk about how we're very aware of how lucky we are as a brand that we have consumers and fans that create amazing content. But I try and sort of bring it down to a more realistic level of how we look at and how everyone can look at content marketing as a whole. So my sort of main approach to the presentation, what I shared today, was really at a very basic level how, as a global brand, we can create so much content, right? Or we could create a few really amazing pieces of content. And how do we balance that sort of approach to make sure that we're delivering the right content to the right audience on the right platform in the right format at the right time? And that's sort of a real struggle for a lot of brands, because there's just so much opportunity and there's so much potential. And sometimes there's so much content, and we really try to narrow it down and make sure there's an objective to every single thing that we create and every single thing that we post.
Because not every brand can do a major motion picture.
Yes, correct.
And have Vancouverites, Tegan and Sarah, do
there
your
you
theme
go.
song.
Yes.
I don't know if you know that. Your theme song was made by Vancouverites.
There you go. I did not.
Okay. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Everything is awesome. Yeah.
Great.
They're twin sisters.
Are they really?
From Vancouver, yeah.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Good for them.
Fun fact of the day. Being that we're filming in Vancouver today, I thought that was fun thing to bring up. So I know you can't disclose too much. I know there's certainly, but what do you see down the pipe as far as the Lego brand that's in 2019? What are you excited about, and what are you seeing coming?
So I think for us as a brand, you know, we've done a great job of engaging kids as a whole, and you know, coming up with, you know, IP-led products, whether it's Star Wars, Marvel, Lego superheroes, all of those products. You know, and it allows us to continue to stay relevant, whether it's you know, the Solo movie products that we launched, or the Spider-Man products that we launched, or the Fantastic Beast products that we launched to tie into the movie. But I think we're sort of very much focused on that kid audience, and I think there's a huge opportunity out there, because we know that, you know, there's a whole dedicated group that are adult fans of Lego. AFOLs, correct. And I think there's a huge opportunity to leverage that audience even bigger, and not necessarily that super high affinity audience that's got the basement that every kid would dream of, with every Lego piece sorted and that sort of stuff. But how can we sort of recruit those adults that experienced the toy when they were a kid, still love the toy, but haven't really found a reason to get back into it? So products like product lines like Lego Ideas, where
architect set.
Yes, so the architecture set. I think there's a huge opportunity to expand on those sort of product lines, or even create new product lines that really speak to that audience.
How about Legoland?
Yes.
Tell me about what you're seeing with Legoland and the connection with Lego, and being that it's a massive activation for your brand all the time, every day.
It definitely is. I mean, it's similar to sort of the Lego brand's retail stores that we have. It is that physical embodiment of the brand, right? And that's a really important thing to continue to inspire kids and for them to see and truly experience a brand in a completely different way, right? Whether it's a theme park or whether it's a store experience where they're doing building challenges with our our brick specialists in the store. We're very much about trying to create a physical experience rather than a shopping experience or a theme park experience.
Very cool. So our adult fans of Lego in Vancouver are very vibrantly involved, and they raise a lot of money for a lot of amazing charities here in Vancouver. And they've recently been putting on an event at the River Rock in Richmond, and it's one of the coolest events to go to, because it's like a micro Legoland where you see all their creations. So that is a very vibrant audience. And
yes, and they're an amazing audience, and we love to try and sort of cultivate them and sort of really make sure that they're feeling supported and inspired by what we do. So we have an entire dedicated community team that works exclusively with AFOLs around the globe. And they're amazing what they do.
They do these like the speed builds at night and these little mini competitions. It's pretty exciting.
Yeah, it is, and it's great. So we have them actually at our office every year, a group of them, really just for that, gives them an opportunity to speak to us. And they teach us a bunch of stuff. And then we have a guy, Robin, builds these massive sculptures at different events throughout the year, which is always fun to see when. So we're super lucky in Enfield, where our U.S. headquarters is, where we actually have a model shop in our office. So there are I believe it's six master model builders at Lego in the Enfield office that are constantly building life-size models. So it's super cool to take a break, stand up from your desk, and go walk over to the model shop and see what they're doing. And usually it's just the coolest stuff.
So tell me that term, master model builder. Tell me about these people.
So there are only a few, I believe there's less than 10 globally, master model builders, and they are employed by the company to build whatever it might be for whatever project, whether it's models for Comic-Con, so we do a lot of, we usually build around 4 models for Comic-Con. This year we did a Thanos model, we did a life-size Millennium Falcon cockpit model, we did an Aquaman model, and there's one more that I can't remember. We did, I can't remember, but they do just the most amazing stuff ever, and of course even as an employee, I just think so how can I take one of these home, guys? What does it take? How long do I have to work here?
That's cool. Are you one of do you have one of those business cards that is actually you as a minifigure?
I am very lucky to have one of those minifigures. I do. And it is, I will say, although it sounds as small as it is easily one of the best parts of the job.
Very cool.
And just the reactions, right? I think the classic example that I always talk about is actually last time I was in Canada, in Montreal, and going through customs, right? And sorry, customs people, if any of you are listening, they're not the most pleasant people in the world. People on Border Patrol, nor really should they. And I told him that he asked me where I work, and I said Lego, and this guy's face lit up and didn't let me leave for 10 minutes, and it was great. It's just amazing to be able to work for a company that people really connect with and really have so many good things to say about it. No one ever has a bad thing to say about Lego.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Except for when they step on them at night.
Well, yeah, that's fine. But then you can also bond over that because we've all done it.
Yeah, exactly. Dude, I stepped on a shark last year.
Ooh, rough.
Yeah, and that was one of them. Yeah, that was a rough night.
That's gonna hurt.
Yeah.
Yep.
So who are some brands that you actually follow or admire?
Sure.
Being that where you are in the position that you are.
Yeah, I mean, I think we feel really strongly that we are the best at what we do. And that's not necessarily an arrogant statement, but I think, because we have a unique audience that we're trying to reach and a unique product and the content to support that product, we really feel that we are the best at what we do.
Yeah.
But I think there are definitely a lot of brands, as I said, whether it's a content creator on YouTube, I think we take inspiration from everywhere, right? So one of the content creators, Complex, has a interview series on YouTube called Hot Ones. And it's an interview, it's a classic celebrity host interview, and they eat 10 hot wings, each of progressively hot sauces. And the questions that they ask, and they have a sort of a pretty formulaic approach to the questions. It's just, we've all seen the celebrity interview, but it's a celebrity interview done in a very interesting way, in a different format, and that to me is something that we take great inspiration for. Like
Between Two Ferns.
Correct,
Getting a little crazy
right?
there,
And so, we do Lego designer videos with our sets, right? But there's a pretty sort of static formula that we've done year over year over year, and taking inspiration from other people and other content creators that do sort of really engaging different formats to like a celebrity host interview really inspires us to sort of change the way we do things.
That's awesome.
Yep.
How about Fortnite? Will we see a Lego Fortnite collab?
I can't talk about that in any detail.
Lovely.
But what I can talk about is that we announced, I believe it was a week or two ago, about the Lego Overwatch partnership. We recently announced one of the models that we're launching through Blizzard in a couple weeks. And actually my team will be at BlizzCon.
It's amazing.
It is very, very exciting. The gaming space is a wild space.
I got my son the where you can dimensions.
Yes.
And you can put actual Lego figures on a little thing, and it absorbs them into the game.
Yep.
It's amazing.
It is very cool.
Yeah. So he's 12. He's in like the prime of like Lego-ness right now.
Keep it going.
He's been collecting the Harry Potter series right now.
Oh yes, the minifigure series.
Yeah.
Those are great.
Yeah.
Yep.
Very cool. Now, as far as this next year, like, what are some of the trends that you're seeing in social media, like things that we should all be watching as far as like Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube's concerned?
I mean, I think it's not news to anyone that organic reach on Facebook is down. So we're definitely looking at ways that we can leverage the best of our content with the best of a smaller media budget to support and ensure that our content's reaching the right audience on Facebook. So that would be the first thing. I don't think that's necessarily groundbreaking. I think we see messaging as a really interesting space to move into. So we have a chat bot on Facebook called Ralph.
Okay.
And Ralph will be available this Christmas as a gift finding robot. But it's essentially, it is an AI-led sort of decision tree based messaging bot on Facebook. So you as a parent can go on and say, I want to buy a Lego set, and Ralph the chatbot will take you through that process.
It's been bad this year, it's been good this year.
Everyone's been good. So I think the messaging space is a really interesting space, right? Customer service. I think Facebook Messenger opening up the API and being able to embed it into websites. That's going to be a really sort of interesting world to be in. It takes real-time engagement to a whole nother level, and I think it's the balance between the AI-led messaging and the real-time one-to-one messaging.
And then IGTV versus YouTube.
So I think there's been a really interesting trend with video content as a whole, right? Facebook Live was the biggest thing ever, and it was all over your Facebook feed. And now you never really hear about it or see it anymore.
The occasional newscast.
That's where the sweet spot for that will be. But I think what's really interesting with sort of that live content production is surprisingly sort of TV still owning that space. So I think the IGTV space is an interesting one on a personal consumer level. I don't envision a world in which I'm going to consume video in a portrait style. But I'm not necessarily their audience that they're going after, being the age that I am. So I'm sure I can be proven wrong, and we're definitely looking as a brand at IGTV as a potential opportunity. And we've created a bunch of content pieces on IGTV. But I still think YouTube is going to be the primary place, just in the very fact that I think I read a stat that I believe it's something close to like 40 to 50% of YouTube content is actually viewed on the big screen, on a TV screen, which really flips all that research on its head. So
I was watching IGTV recently, and Gary Vee has a little thing at being telling you to flip your phone.
Yes.
Because he's like, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to go vertical.
Yeah. I think it's an interesting listen. I trust the very smart people in Instagram that they knew something that maybe we don't, and we'll just have to watch that space.
How about Vimeo? Does it have a place still in this world?
Sorry, Vimeo, no, I don't think so.
Okay.
I mean, the only time I ever see anything from Vimeo is through like video production companies that share their videos.
Yeah, and put a password on it.
Yeah, correct. Anyways,
Anything else you want to share with the listeners in Canada here?
No.
The viewers?
Check us out on our social media channels, and
Very cool.
Thanks.
So on a personal note,
yes.
I need to ask, and,
Sure.
and those that maybe are in the business as well, would love to know, can you churn off work? Can you have like and if you are the practice of it, you practice Sabbath. Can you practice a break, a relief from work, and actually still consume social media without thinking about your job? Is it possible? Have you figured that out?
So the answer is it needs to be possible, because burnout is a real thing, and it will happen. I think.
And you have a new baby, right?
So I have an 11-month-old, and my wife and I have a very strict rule that between the time of 5 and 7:30, there are no phones.
Okay, so
no phones.
You put in a little box.
Just
somewhere?
not even touching the phones, because that is the one sort of 2.5-hour spot that is dedicated to family time and engaging with the kid, and not taking Instagram stories of the kid, even though my child has her own Instagram profile.
That's awesome.
Yes. But there needs to be, is the answer. I think the challenges that I have, is that I'm, regardless of what content I'm looking at, whether it's pure entertainment or not, I'm still thinking about it with a business mindset in the background. But there's that, I don't see that changing.
That's your life right now.
Correct. I still spend a great deal of time before I go to bed, a good 30 minutes watching a lot of very useless content on YouTube.
On your phone?
On an iPad.
On an iPad?
Okay. And my wife will very regularly see what I'm looking at and watching and be like, "What are you watching?"
Okay.
And it is my level of disconnect, but I will definitely in the back of my head think like, that's a really interesting strategy and a really interesting content format. How could we apply that?
And Chromecast or Apple TV at your
Apple
house?
TV. I'm Amazon Alexa and Apple TV fanboy.
Okay. Sonos?
No. Alexa, I have gone all in on Alexa.
Okay.
I will not get the microwave.
Okay.
The microwave will not happen.
Okay.
But I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Alexas throughout my house.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It's awesome, but also I'm pretty sure my daughter's first word will be Alexa.
Alexa. My 3 and 4-year-old.
Yeah.
We brought a new Sonos indoor house that had Alexa.
Yeah.
And they would ask Alexa often to play "Lightning in the Thunder" by Imagine Dragons, and it would constantly. And we'd be listening to nice music, and then they would interrupt and tell Alexa to change the music, which That
is a very the voice space is a very, very interesting space and a very interesting space for brands, because the Amazon world of when you ask Alexa, order me batteries, she doesn't care what brand of batteries they are.
Yeah.
You know, so you know the brand equity that companies have spent years and decades building could potentially disappear. But we'll see.
So you're on Facebook because you had a university email address.
Yes.
I did as well. Do you remember Nexopia?
No,
or was it a
I
Canadian
didn't know.
thing?
That could have been a Canadian thing. I don't know.
MySpace? Did you have a MySpace
I
account?
actually never had a MySpace. I had a Friendster account.
Friendster. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So where is MySpace now? Is it in the graveyard?
No,
of the
you can still go to MySpace.
Really?
In fact, we have like an open seating area in our sort of office area that we, entertainingly call MySpace.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Remember GeoCities?
Yes, absolutely. Yep. I remember being very sad that I was. Yahoo Groups was like a big thing too.
Yeah.
All of those things. Now we're dating ourselves.
I want to remake our website for this April Fool's as a GeoCities site because I think it'd be hilarious for a
That
day.
would be great.
Yeah.
That would be great.
Because I made one with my friend Andy Rains.
There you go.
Yeah.
As you should.
Yeah. It's awesome. Well, thanks again for being
No worries.
here.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. This was amazing. James from Lego.
Thank you.
We're big fans at Marketing Jam of Lego, as you can probably imagine, and it was just a real honor to have you here today.
Awesome. Thanks so much.